Futures trading involves risk and is not suitable for all investors. Content provided in this segment is meant for educational purposes and is not a solicitation to buy or sell commodities.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Tech Talk. I am Cody. He is Andy. It is the 30th of July, about 3:25 Central Time, 4:25 Eastern. Andy, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Doing well. Just enjoying the heat while it's here.
You're enjoying the heat while it's here. What are you doing while you're enjoying the heat?
Just, when it's wintertime and snowing and blowing, you don't want to go outside as much. So just trying to be outside, enjoy the fresh air, enjoy the heat as much as you can.
Are you like a popsicle type person or like those like red, white, and blue ones?
It's too muggy for that right now. It's just like you stand outside and just sweat.
Too muggy for a popsicle?
But it'll just melt and drip. So there's not even a point of trying at that point.
I figured you strike me as like a popsicle guy. I don't know.
Yeah,
Those like red, white, and blue ones that are, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's just when it's this humid, water. It's the only way to go.
Water. That's it. Get hydrated. Let's go.
Get hydrated. Well, we have several requests, don't we? All right, so we're starting with
lumber. This came from Senior, Big Senior. This is how they wanted to be characterized. Senior, Big Senior. All right, what do you want to do here, boss?
Just going to ask you, what do you think about lumber here?
So this is the first thing that caught my eye, right? You had this big downtrend, right? I don't know how you, like is this 632? Is this?
I was literally going to ask you that. I don't quite know how lumber is quoted.
Okay, well, we're just going to make it up if it's not this way. It's 635, right? Or 637 and some change. So this is basically, we had this big break. From a percentage basis, this is a substantial move. And, here we are. We broke out of it. And now we're starting to kind of, claw our way out of it. But it's still, this is a weekly of lumber. Did the same thing, right? Just a little bit more pronounced. I'd say this looks good. I mean, I go back to the daily real fast. I mean, this doesn't look bad. This looks like something that at least wants to kind of claw its way out of it. And what it reminds me of is the weekly chart of non-fat, right? Where you had this big break and now it's kind of just like it got itself out of that downtrend and is now kind of at least moving sideways. Lumber, the one thing that sticks out to me here is that it had this big downtrend, broke out of it. Is it going to consolidate or keep going? We'll see. It seems to be done trending lower.
Yeah. The only different thing that I have on my chart right now is I have the moving averages on here, and we have not been able to break below the 20-day moving average since the middle of July, so about 18th of July.
Since this day, we've been above the 20-day moving average, is what you're saying.
Right. And also the 50-day moving average, we've only broken out of that once, and then the next day we probably fell right below it. So we're just kind of moving in this little window of these moving averages right across.
I pulled up the non-fat chart because I think this, you could see a similar type trade, and big moves tend to happen in threes where you have a significant, in this case, break. And then the second phase of this move is some sort of consolidation after you've broken out of that trend. And I think maybe we've started to do that. Assuming that's the case, then the next phase 3 of that would be some large retracement of the initial move, which in this case would be retracing some of this break.
Let me ask you this. Do you think it's forming a head and shoulders right here?
I don't, only because, like I said, if I think about a head and shoulder, oh, you mean right here, the short-term one?
Yeah, short term.
It could be. I guess the only thing that, the thing that would make me question that is if you just kind of, continue to trade sideways. Even if you make this kind of shoulder right here, you've had this massive break, and now you've broken out of that trend. So my gut would be is that we're either going to trade sideways or retrace a significant portion of this in a hurry. My guess is that we're going to trade sideways for a while, build up a base, and then retrace some of this break.
Yeah.
I feel like the exact same thing is taking place in non-fat right now. They're just kind of ahead of it, right? You've already had the breakout of the downtrend. Now we're consolidating. I think you're going to start to see a retracement here. We'll look at non-fat in a little bit, though. It's tangential to, is that a word, tangential?
It is now.
Sure. There you go. Call Webster. We're putting that in the dictionary if it's not already there.
Throw it in there.
So we'll look at this in a second via another chart. Thanks, Senior, for the look. You had this one, came at requests. Who requested this one?
Good friend Chris. Chris from Idaho.
Chris from Idaho. Go Vandals. Let's go Vandals. All right, what do you think, Dec Corn?
I think I'm bearish Dec Corn right now. Today, where do we settle today? Our low is 404, and the low of this contract was 403 on the 12th of July. It's not looking very promising to the upside right now.
And that's not a low close.
No, sorry, just a low trade.
So let's look at the close. So this is 404 and a quarter. Today's close is 405. So another penny lower close, basically. That will be a new low close.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about like we get the breakout and then what does the next bar do? Seems like something you want to be mindful of, especially since we've already had such a big break in corn, right? I'm not saying you're wrong or disagreeing with what you're saying, but I think we also want to be mindful of a pretty key area of $4, especially after it's been such a big break.
Well, I was going to say, if you go to a monthly or a weekly, now we're back into uncharted territory we haven't seen since 2020.
Yeah, that 350 area becomes a magnet for sure. I would say kind of like the middle area of this, which is about 350, right? Because you had a significant amount of consolidation around that price level. But yeah, I see what you're saying. I see what you're looking at. My thought for Dec specifically would be wait to get the close that confirms, the breakout. Because if it is, then to your point, it could be next stop 350 corner.
Here is an interesting question. So today's the 30th. We have one more day in July.
Uno más.
On the monthly, does that look like a bearish hammer formation?
So that would be, I believe, a morning star.
One of these, upside down, right?
So I believe that's actually called a bearish hammer would come at the top side of a rally, right? So you'd get like a red bar like that.
After a rally,
but it wouldn't be inverted. Yeah, inverted hammer is basically like you said is like the technical term, right?
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. And to me, that's a sign of weakness. You've got the time too to wait to see how the next bar plays out. Yeah, to your point, tomorrow's the 31st. You know how I know that? Do you ever do the knuckle trick?
Yeah.
Jan, Feb, March, April, May, June, July, August, 2 on the last one. So every time you touch a knuckle, it's 31 days. So we know July is a 31-day month. Just learn something. There you go. So it closes through that tomorrow and then opens on, what would that be, Thursday, lower for the start of the month?
Correct.
Could be a pretty nasty technical signal because I guess the other side of that coin is that if you start to rally off of this $4 price point, I would imagine you get some short covering. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, I think so.
It's been a tough go trying to break through this. And it seemed to rally pretty quickly to 420. I'd imagine open interest went down during this time. We'll see.
Somebody internally was saying maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, that the funds had the greatest net short position on corn.
Check out Grain Feed for that.
Check them out.
And Grain Feed about that one.
Give them a like. That was one of their points also, is if you see a rally, you're going to see the short covering that could have a bigger movement than we've seen the past couple trading sessions.
Correct. You don't get the continued price action you're looking for. And I'm going to butcher this because I always butcher this when I try to say it. So if I say it correctly this time, I'm going to be super pumped. But one way to get a market to go up is to get it to stop going down. I think I said that right. So the idea is that if you have this big break and then you start to consolidate, those that want to take profit, they're like, you need to get new selling that takes the market lower, and you're not getting that.
Right.
So wait for that new selling that's looking to take the market down. Then I think you can get on board with it.
Agreed.
Yeah, interesting chart. Chris from Idaho. Go Vandals. This is the second one, Dec Meal. Trying to move her along here. This could get dicey. I mean, it's somewhat similar to how we just looked at with lumber.
I was just going to say, drawing the line, we're coming back into that downward trend.
Could be. It could
be. We're getting closer.
Right? It could be. At the very least, it seems to be done trending lower for now. To get new selling, to get another big break to come in, I think you need to clear this low, which is what? 307, basically? 306 and some change. So basically a 306 half settle. Then that's a new low. And I think you get another big wave of selling that comes in. But if you can't, I think you get some choppy trade that takes us, different types of short covering situations.
Yeah.
So these grains, and they're just kind of at this pivotal point.
It really is. I just keep looking at it, that 307 number. You start settling below there, and it's like, there ain't much looking at past that to say we've got a rally coming in front of us.
Yikes. Yeah. Yeah. So to me, from I guess a trading perspective, right? You're looking at it and saying, what do you want to do with this? It's tough to really do much here. It's kind of no man's land, but you get the confirmation of that close you just talked about. You can see another wave of downside, but just be mindful of you need that close and then a confirmation of the next candle, especially for this chart and corn.
I'm assuming it's probably the same as corn. You're going to need new sellers. Let's say you sold at 380 and all of a sudden we drop to 310, we get down to 307, right? Would you see some of those shorts liquidate and get out? Would you see more shorts getting in saying, okay, we're at the bottom of the market. What's to say that we need to push this thing that much lower?
We'll see.
I guess that's kind of the question that I've had.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, if you were to get that type of trade, then I think you could start to see some potential piling in, so to speak. But to me, it just seems like no man's land right here. I think you need that confirmation.
All right.
These are good requests. These are definitely on people's minds right now. They've had a ton of price action. It's just now, like I said, I feel like, especially with meal here, this feels like it could get a little bit dicey and kind of no man's land. So I'd wait to see some sort of confirmation. Last, but certainly not least.
The bell of the ball, if you will, during spot.
Bell of the ball.
Dry Whey.
Dry Whey on a spot basis. This thing is the bell of the ball. What do you want to do here? I think we talked about this one the other day, didn't we?
We did. Yeah, we definitely did. And I think you said if we get a continuation, it would be a buying opportunity. And I think we're in that buying opportunity.
So we didn't touch anything from last time we looked at this. And let's talk about this guy right over here.
76, right? 77 cents?
That is a nasty little gap right there. That's unfinished business right there.
With a breakout today.
Correct. And this is a weekly. It's only Tuesday. So you want to be a little bit mindful of that, right? I would call this unsustainable price action, right? I mean, we went from 50 cents to 62.5. To see like when things go like straight up or down, that rate of change is very difficult to maintain. But like, I guess where my head's going is to say like, I feel like we're due for something like this, where you start to get some trade and it has very little price action, but it just kind of like incrementally stair steps itself up. You know, maybe like the next like couple weeks we move, I don't know, 3 cents, 4 cents up or something like that. Get some trade, you know, 1 week or up like 1.5 cents on average, getting very little price action. Those tend to precede big moves. So I think we saw that here. I think we saw that again, you kind of see that over here a little bit too. But if we were to see that I think is a big warning sign that the thing's just going to rip again. I'm not going to count it out. The ability to go fill this gap, I think is entirely on the table. I really do. I think it would be very unexpected. I try to always ask the question, like, what would be a big surprise to the marketplace right now? Talking about 80 cent Whey or close to 80 cent Whey. Just wild. But yeah, this chart, I mean, just forget about the fundamentals for a second. This chart looks phenomenal.
Agreed.
So I guess that the one thing that would, I guess, cause me to say, well, now we're done, or like, you know, it's failure, is if you get a candle that kind of looks like this big red one, like next week. Let's say we close here for the week, 62. We don't go anywhere for the rest of the week. And then you get this kind of a candle for next week, where we're down about, what is this? A little over 7 cents. So you just completely engulf this candle. That would be, you know, take the wind completely out of the sails and put the bears firmly in control. I think you need that kind of a candle to see some sort of reversal.
Bearish turn of events.
Bearish turn of events is what you need. Big red candle.
I mean, the way that Whey has been moving, I'd say we check on this down the line, but it might be next week where we check on it and it's like, hey, we're 10 cents higher. We were 5 cents higher today.
Sure. I mean, this...
We said biggest move since April of 2021 today.
I mean, this thing has been knocking out like price levels. Bam, 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 bam. You know, just knocking them out. Like 45 cents. Poof. See you later. Like, you know, 50 cents. Rolled through 60 cents. We'll see. Like I said, still need to close the week, but I mean, like, it just continues to take some of these price tiers and just flap them right out of the way. So yeah, it feels strong. And futures too. You know, futures, this is the whiteboard real fast, but I mean, you've got SEP 59.5, you know, OC basically 60 cents. You don't see anything below. So all these are bid today over at 50 cents or better. So we should, assuming these were all bid during the closing range today, like 109 and 30 seconds.
And that's Q4 of 25.
Correct. With no offers, we should settle at 50 cents. So that said, I think the futures are trying to tell us something. This chart looks great. You got to be mindful of this gap. Mind the gap.
We could be looking at this one again next Tuesday, the way it's moving.
Who knows? We should be looking at this next Tuesday. Anything's possible. We should be looking at this one next Tuesday. This thing's on fire. All right.
Cool. All right. Well, big shout out to Chris and Senior for asking about the chart.
Thanks, Senior.
Appreciate the call out, looking at them. Hopefully we did them justice for you guys. If anyone else would like to see any, please email us, call us, text us. Happy to look at them. The interesting thing about lumber is I don't know anything about lumber. Maybe you do, but not talking anything about fundamentals and just about the chart, I think is really interesting because we can always piece together another story on some of these other ones because it's good to just look at the chart without any other influx of it.
Do you have a fire pit?
Yeah, I do.
What do you burn in there?
You have to burn lumber.
Burn some lumber.
Yeah, please let us know. We'd love to look at them next week. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up. Leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. But with that, we will see you all next Tuesday on the same Tech Talk channel. Have a great week, everybody.